All right, here's Unit 4, Political Parties, Campaigns, Interest Groups, Media, Review Guide. First, to start off, talking about trends in voting and party identification. A lot more people are identifying as independents, less likely to join those political parties, especially during the primary season. During the primary season, the election process, it's the number one way for parties to select their candidates. There's two ways to go about it. For voting in states, they have open primaries where any citizen can vote. They just pick which ticket they would like, the Democrats or Republicans, or a closed, which kind of limits the access. You have to be an active member in a party to actually participate in a primary. A lot of people split ticket vote today, where they're choosing candidates based on maybe ideas or past performance rather than just straight ticket, which is voting for one political party only. Your national convention is every 4 years. This is where they actually nominate the candidate after the primary season. However, we know who the candidate is going to be these days. Delegates just make it official. It's more like a pep rally where people are talking, giving speeches, talking about the platform, trying to gain some momentum going into the general election. The National Committee runs all the affairs of the party, and the national chairman is in charge of the day-to-day affairs of the party. Superdelegates are something that are granted only for Democratic individuals. They're not voted on. They get to choose which politician they would like to choose in their party. Again, it's only the Democrat Party that uses these. Like I said, national conventions, they've changed because it's more of a pep rally. In the past, this is where you actually found out who the presidential nominee was. However, we know well in advance it's more of a show. A sponsored party is a state or local political party largely supported by another organization in the community. So, again, unions like auto workers could be a sponsored party of the Democratic Party. Your political machine, high degree of leadership, control over member activity. They use incentives. They're looking at voting fraud. And they're getting paid jobs based on their past connections. And again, they hate the electoral reform. Ideological party could be like the Socialist Party. It's based off a belief or an idea. It's more broad. It's not an issue party, not one thing, but more of a broad idea. Solidarity Association, your membership unity of a similar interest creates those friendships, that connection between people that are in an interest group. A couple more examples of ideological parties: civil rights movements, political freedoms, maybe anti-tax organizations. The plurality system discourages new parties in our system because it's a winner-take-all. You don't get anything for second or third place. So again, it's two people, usually two parties competing for first. Chances of winning a third party, very, very slim. Some people believe it's a waste of a vote. Again, state laws, sometimes you have to get so much of a vote to get your name on the ballot, so it's hard to get your name on all 50 states' ballots. I talked about open and closed primary already. Anyone can vote in either Republican or Democrat primary and open. You just have to choose which ticket. Closed, you must be registered with one of those parties. Presidential campaigns, always more competitive, more hype, more money. Congressional campaigns talk about local issues. They always blame the White House on that incumbency factor. A lot of incumbents usually just win re-election. In order to become a presidential nominee or talk about running, you have to get mentioned maybe by another candidate or a governor, another politician. You have to commit. It's a 24-month commitment. You have to raise enough funds. Then you begin organizing a staff and having a vision for your campaign. And then a couple stepping stones: governor, military leader, senator are the normal stepping stones for a presidential candidate. House incumbent, the big thing is here, 90% of House of Representatives are re-elected at a 90% rate. Primary versus general. So when you're running the primary, you are going to be more liberal than usual or more conservative than usual. When you get to the general election, you become more moderate to attract those independent or moderate voters. Rules for matching funds. For the public funding, a lot of people don't do this. Most people don't, but gives, again, if you don't do it because you have an incentive to get a lot of small donations like Obama did, from individuals, which you can raise a lot more money. If you want public funds, you have to get it from 20 states first to show that you're liked. You can only use up to 50,000 of your own money and no contributions from individuals or PACs. Again, a PAC, in order to be a PAC, you have to have 50 members. You have to give to 5 federal candidates, and you can only give 5,000 per candidate. And some of that rules that people have to follow is the hard money. That's money that people and PACs give directly to the campaigns or the candidates. Soft money is money that maybe a party is going to promote a candidate but not give to the candidate. They're spending money on the candidate but not directly giving it to that campaign or that candidate. 2002 McCain-Feingold Act, the Bipartisan Act, limits that role on soft money. Again, raises the limit from $1,000 up to $2,000 that you personally as an individual can raise. Now it's $2,700. Citizens United, though, however, reversed this because they guaranteed corporations a First Amendment right to support candidates as they wish for Congress and the president, so it ends any limitations on those big businesses. Another way, a loophole named after a tax code, is the 527 organization. Primarily there to influence nomination or election of different candidates. You don't strictly endorse a candidate through this organization, but you will influence a nomination. And these are not regulated by the FEC. Interest groups. One of the big ones to know is Chamber of Commerce, big business. They are supporting mostly conservative Republicans. Institutional interest, individuals or organizations representing other organizations, so maybe an interest group for just the United States Tobacco alone will be promoting all these companies and lobbying for the interest of all these companies. Some of the incentives for joining, be around friends, so solidarity component, maybe material, you get some insurance out of it, you're trying to protect what you already have through this interest group. Propulsive interest, work for the accomplishment of the group. You're serving for a cause. You have a specific cause that you're trying to fight for, some principles that you're fighting for. That's why you join. Again, those ideological groups are kind of like political parties, but ideological interest group would be in the NAACP, maybe a taxpayers union. You're attracted by appealing to their political convictions. Money for lobbying, it's gone way up. They collect dues, and those dues are used to pressure people in Congress to change different laws, promote different laws. Also, they will be used to give money for campaigns. The Ethics in Government Act of 1978. This limits the bribery. President must disclose where they're getting the income from. No outside employment by a government official if it has some conflict in interest. So you can't have another job that would have conflict in interest. Now this creates the revolving door. So individuals leaving a government position to go to an interest group to promote those ideas or use those connections, or vice versa. Last kind of section here, again, the media has a love-hate relationship with politicians. They enjoy the news coverage if it's positive, hate it if it's negative. The AP or the Associated Press has changed some things in a way where they're trying to be nonpartisan. They put out media reports and world events, and multiple media outlets use those and put them in their news outlets. Future newspapers obviously is shutting down because of technology and internet access for most. Three things here: your gatekeeper, they decide what to report; your scorekeeper, letting the public know how people are doing based on polls or what maybe success with Congress; and the last one, the watchdog, looking over scandals, investigating these individuals, trying to prevent government corruption. Your First Amendment media, very limited. Your freedom of press allows the media to publish things as long as they believe it to be true. It's hard to prove libel and slander in this country. However, the Supreme Court media said that any unnamed sources must be revealed if they are taken to court in a criminal case. And last one, political slander. Most members of the media tends to be more liberal. A couple possible FRQs, techniques used by interest groups, and they're giving money. They're helping media campaigns. They're endorsing candidates, providing info, providing congressional ratings, putting out issue ads. There's PACs and there's 527s that they will give money to. Role of a political party, the biggest role, elect people in the office, promote those ideas, and then when they get into office is try to gain control of the government. Role of your interest groups, influence public policy, go over litigation, try to change laws, represent people or organizations with common concerns, lobby congresspeople, advocate for their ideas. The last one, difference between these three groups, interest groups, PACs, and 527s. Interest groups represent people or organizations with common concerns. Your PACs, they work on elections and campaigns, pool all the money or donations and redistribute that money to candidates. And then your 527s, you're tax exempt, not regulated. They're issue advocacy. So they're talking about issues that don't expressly address a candidate, but in a way do promote a candidate. That is Unit 4.